Howdy, gang. Now, I hear that some of you people who watch my videos, if not most of you people who watch my videos, are those crazy Americans over the pond. So I thought I'd do a video tailored just for you. Now, I also think there's like some sort of election going on. I don't know, some guy called Don, and some girl running against him. So today we're going to be, I don't know what the hell that intro was, I'm sorry. Today we're going to be doing something really fun. We're going to be making our presidential cabinet with Walking Dead characters. So obviously I'm the president, okay? So I don't choose the president. I'll choose my vice president, but I'm the president. So, you know, that position's been filled and I have to now select my cabinet. Okay, so basically, just a preface, we're going to assume that the world is mostly rebuilt. There's still walkers around, right? But, you know, the United States, we're secure, right? We're good. And, you know, there's communities around the world as well that we can do trade and stuff with. And also, all these characters, I'm going to assume, have redeemed themselves. Okay, so all the evil people have also redeemed themselves. Because I just think that's important to... I don't know. It's important to note. Now, all their like mental baggage is still there, but like in terms of their like morality, that's all good. Okay. Now I've prefaced that. So starting off, we of course have our vice president position. So this is quite interesting. Now I could go for someone like Pamela, who obviously has some experience, or I could even go with someone like Deanna, wherever she is, because she's obviously was a congresswoman. But there is still an apocalypse going. You know, things are mostly good. So of course I'm going to be picking Rick Grimes as the VP. There is no way I can not pick Rick Grimes. Secretary of State. Oh, I probably should mention, I know very little about exactly what these cabinets hold, but as I believe it, Secretary of State is for, I think it's similar to Foreign Secretary in the UK, but the Secretary of State essentially deals with foreign affairs. So, I assume that's, foreign affairs, things to do with stuff like that. So, who am I going to do for that? I think it's clear for Aaron for me. I think we obviously see that Aaron's very good at meeting other communities and communicating with them and sort of bridging those alliances and all that. I think Jesus could be a second best, but I just like Aaron better, so I'm going to be choosing Aaron. Also, Jesus was kind of cocky when he first met Rick and Daryl, right? He could have screwed that. He could have just got shot in the head if his read on Rick and Daryl was wrong. You know, he would have just got shot in the head. So I think Jesus would be a good backup pick, but I'm gonna go with Aaron personally. Now, Secretary of the Treasury. Now for this, I don't know any of these characters who are really mathematicians. I could pick someone smart like Eugene or Milton, but to be honest, I think I'm just gonna go with the safe option, and that's Deanna. Deanna's a congresswoman. She would have been dealing with budgets and things like that, and all that kind of jazz. And you know, according to Pamela, she was a pretty good congresswoman. So I don't know. I just feel like that's a good pick for me. I'm gonna pick her as Secretary of Treasury for Deanna. Now we have our Attorney General. No, we have our Secretary of Defense. Sorry, I think this one should be above. Which one's above? I don't know. Anyway, Secretary of Defense. So this is obviously like in terms of obviously I think the actual cabinet position is like in terms of wars, things like that, dealing with NATO and all that. So that's what Secretary of Defense does in real life. So for me, I am going to be picking Daryl Dixon. Now again, I could pick someone like Abraham. I think that would be a good backup choice. And you know, there's other characters that would definitely. I think Mercer you could pick as well. And there's other good picks, but the reason why I like Daryl as a pick is he obviously now has travelled foreign terrain. You know, he's been in a. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm changing my mind now, or maybe I'll go with Abraham because Abraham actually was in the military and did serve overseas. So that's what I'm sort of tricking. But then, like, I feel like who would be the better diplomat when it comes to this? Who would be the better politician, Daryl or Abraham? Because I don't really have a job for Daryl then. That's the only issue. That is tough. Who would be the better politician? Or really, would Mercer be the better politician? Because he, of course, he is currently the second in command of the Commonwealth. This is a tricky situation. I'm gonna go with. I feel like I might go with. I'm gonna leave this here for now, and we'll sort this out later. So, Attorney General, I think this one's clear. You only have really two choices. Andrea, who is a civil rights lawyer. Attorney General is like the head judge, right? Head lawyer, head dude. So, yeah, you have Andrea, who was a civil rights lawyer. But I feel like Yumiko seems a bit more appropriate. You know, she seems to have a lawyer head on her. So I'm going to go with her. Secretary of Interior. So this is like the person who deals with like national parks and land and all that. Unironically, I might pick Alpha. Alpha travels the land a lot. You know, she's on that. She knows the parks. She knows the stuff. I think Alpha could maintain it, but also part of the land, part of the nature now are going to be walkers, and I think the perfect person to lead those massive herds of walkers to make sure they're not problems is Alpha. Now, again, we're assuming that Alpha is morally cool and she's on our level and that she's our friend now, so that's what we're assuming there. But yeah, unironically, I feel like Alpha would be good at that. You know, maintaining the land. I could see that she could rule an iron fist too. Secretary of Agriculture. I mean, who else? Who else will be in charge as Secretary of Agriculture other than Herschel? I think that's to do with farming and shit, right? So there we go. Secretary of Commerce. So this is like businesses and stuff. So this one might be a controversial pick, but again, like we're assuming they're morally good now and they're on our side. I'm going to pick Gregory. The reason why I'm picking Gregory is because he was a small business owner and he actually did meetings with like the commerce board or something, like some sort of commerce board at the Barrington House. He mentions that. So he was actually involved on a political level with like people who were in charge of like at least like the local commerce part of the government. So yeah, I feel like he does have some level of experience. Secretary of Labour, this one's quite interesting. So I feel like it has to be someone. No one obviously is like really a politician here, other than like Pamela. Like we've already got rid of Diana, but I think there's an argument for Carol, because she obviously has now had some political experience because of her position in the Commonwealth. So I think there is an argument for Carol, but I think I won't put her there. Because I feel like it should be someone to inspire at the same time. And so for that reason, I considered Alden, because he obviously is a blacksmith and he trained under Earl. Now I could pick Earl because Earl's older and wiser. It's real tricky. At the same time, I could pick someone like Henry, but yeah, I feel like Henry's too inexperienced. Do you know what? I think we're going to go with the older, the wiser. We're going to go with Earl. I think having people of like an older age is probably better anyway. You know, Earl is like the blacksmith. He obviously, I mean, he seems like he'd be a good union guy as well, you know? I'm going to go with him. Maybe he wouldn't be. Secretary of Health and Human Services. So this is like the doctor, right? The chief doctor. I know I'm not. I'm simplifying what these cabinet positions actually do. So for this, we could go with someone like Harlan Carson or Enid. We could go with Sadiq. But the problem is, Enid was trained by Sadiq, who himself was only like a junior doctor. And then like Harlan, I think would be a good pick and a solid pick. And also his brother Emmett would probably be a good pick. But I'm going to go with Tommy. A, because he's English. And B, because he is a surgeon. You know, he's like, I think like a lot more higher sort of level of skills as a doctor, so I'm going to go with him. And he doesn't actually want to even be a doctor, so what is a better position than just being the head doctor, where you don't even do any doctoring because you're just in charge of the health and the human services. Yeah, I'm going to pretend exactly like I know exactly what these positions do. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Now, there's only one pick for this, and that is, if I can find him, Um, It's gonna be Reg Monroe, okay? Let me just find him. So the reason why it's Reg is A, he's an architect. B, his wife is obviously a politician, so he's probably somewhat politically savvy himself. I can't for the friggin' life of me find him. But also, yeah, he put up the walls, and he's just such a chill dude. I mean, how can you not love the guy? So he is going to be my Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Rightio. Who else have we got next? So we got Secretary of Transportation. So the only really options I have here, we know that Simon was like a used car salesman. He might have been good for commerce, but I just feel like Gregory probably has more like politically savvy, you know. Then we have someone like Jim, who was obviously a mechanic of some description. Where's Jim? He's here somewhere. He's hiding from us. Come on out, Jim. There he is. We could have Jim, and you know, even like Daryl to some degree, because he's obviously like he's got his motorbike and stuff. I'm trying to think who really dealt with the fuel, like, because obviously making fuel is going to be like a big part of this position, because obviously fuel being made. I think it was the Saviors actually who were making the fuel, right? And then I think they don't bother making it anymore. But I feel like Secretary of Transportation, for me personally, there's one person I'm going to give it to, okay? Because A, this man is a bit of a diplomat. I feel like he would be a pretty good politician. And B, he used to be a mechanic. And that's Morgan Jones. Not Natanya. Morgan Jones. Yeah, this one's a little bit of a stretch, I feel, because I don't know how good. Maybe I'm just picking it because I like Morgan. But, yeah. We're going to go with that. Secretary of Energy. This one's tricky. So this will be like solar panels and stuff. You know, making solar panels, I guess, and maybe wind turbines. I don't know. And then dealing with preserving. And I suppose potentially that would be where the fuel comes in actually as well. Thinking of it. And look, this particular character may be best known for his bullet making. But I feel like Eugene is probably a good pick for this. I think he could definitely... he could get on board. He knows stuff. He could probably be in charge of the solar panels and making the fuel and all of that. Yeah, I suppose that would be a part of it, because Secretary of Transportation really is not going to be about that. I think in like actual politics is about, well, in the actual US, I'm assuming anyway, it's about like trains and all that and buses. But yeah, and maybe Morgan can be involved in that. But yeah, I feel like Eugene would be good for the Secretary of Energy. So now we've got our... What have we got next? We've got Secretary of Education. So we're going to want to have a teacher for this. So obviously we've got Karen. She was a teacher. Then we've got potentially characters like Eastman. And I know he's not a teacher. He was a psychiatrist. But I feel like he's kind of got that good sort of... He's good at teaching, right? He's able to teach in a complete psychopath how to not be a psychopath. And I think that there's a reason why I would like him in a sense. Then there's also Luke, who was obviously a music teacher. So it's really tricky. But I feel like in terms of... I know that Luke's a music teacher. I know Karen's a teacher, right? But I just feel like Eastman... would be like good for that job, you know? I think he's a bit wiser, he's a bit older, and he is a teacher in some respects. Now, a teacher of like a moral code, sure, not in like education, but I think his sort of the way he talks and the way he sort of expresses himself, I think that could be translated to this job, okay? So that's why I'm gonna give him that. Now, Secretary of Veteran Affairs. So obviously this is dealing with the veterans and helping them out and running the VA and things like that, I believe. Again, someone's probably going to like rip me to shit. I don't know that much about American like how like the cabinets work anyway. I'm going to give this to Bob Stuckey. He is a veteran. I believe he was an army medic. And he's just like such a chill guy. I feel like he'd be a good pick. And then Secretary of Homeland Security. So this is like government defense, like homeland defense, so things like the border, and I imagine just like if we're translating this would be like protecting the walls and stuff, right? And I just think the best person for this would be like Mercer. I feel like it's probably Daryl. I'm gonna give Daryl that position. I feel like Abraham would be a decent choice. I'm not, unfortunately Abraham's just not gonna get a position. Okay, so we've got White House Chief of Staff. So this has to go to probably Carol. I was considering Michonne, but I just feel like Carol would be better at that, you know, like that sort of being a diplomat, but also being ruthless when she needs to be. It's a bit tricky. It is a bit tricky. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with it. EPA, the person in charge of the EPA, administrator for the EPA. Okay, so who likes animals? Who's a zoo person? Listen, right, I know this doesn't translate because the EPA isn't just about animals, it's about the entire environment. I think Ezekiel would be a perfect decision for that. I mean, come on, he was a zookeeper, for Christ's sake. And he can have Shiva by his side. So, director of the Office of Management and Budget. Jesus Christ. What a boring ass position. So, we're going to give it to a boring ass dude, alright? And that dude is going to be... Where is he? There he is. Milton Mamet. Yeah, I'm giving it to Milton. Because I don't know much about this position, but it sounds like a lot of numbers and a lot of things like that, and I think Milton could be pretty good at it. Director of National Intelligence. So we want... I think unironically the best person for this would be Lance, okay? Because we know that he's got his little spies everywhere, you know, everywhere around. He knows things going on. He has all these connections. And assuming that he's on our side, I think he would just be an excellent person for this. You know, he is like the Walking Dead's Littlefinger. So I think he's a good choice for this personally. And he's gonna thrive in this position. And then we've got our CIA director. Oh God! So this, I actually have a few options, okay, and they're all villains. So there's Pope was an example, just because I feel like Pope. So CIA is Central Intelligence Agency, right? So is that, I don't know how does that differ from, the National Intelligence Agency? Someone's gonna have to tell me, but I'm assuming it's something. I'm just gonna make the assumption it's similar, okay? So I'm gonna go. See, the governor's an option, Pope's an option, and I think Negan's an option. It has to be one of these three, you know, one of these big bad guys. All right, that's what I'm picking. Which one do I pick? Damn. Who did I give labor to? I gave it to Earl. Maybe I should have given labor to Tobin, actually, unironically. Nah, I give it to Earl. Who do I pick? I'm going to have to make a decision. Making a decision. I'm going to choose the governor, okay? I think he's got that more, like, evil, you know, Negan jokes around and he's your friend, right? But the governor doesn't take friends. He demands respect in a different way. Right, trade representative. So my trade representative, I think, has to be Maggie Green, okay? I think she can be diplomatic, but I think she'd be good for trade, personally. Yeah, so that's why she's there. Ambassador to the UN. So this will be like if we're doing communications with like other communities around the world, right? So we've rebuilt our government, but you know we still have like this community off in France, for example. There's communities in Mexico, right? So we have to have someone to go visit all these different communities in different countries. So I think the best person for this is Gabriel. I think he can be pretty diplomatic. I think he sort of carries that religious sort of aura about him. I mean, there's no other, trying to think of a different word. Yeah, I think that's good. Chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. This one is boring, and I'm gonna give it to Pamela because I don't know. I haven't given her anything, and I feel like I should give her something because she's one of the actual politicians in this. So yeah, I think that's probably fair. And then we have administrator of small businesses. So I could give this to Simon because obviously he was a used car salesman, but I think there's a better savior, and that's Gavin. I don't know. I sort of see Gavin being pretty good in this position. He's able to rule the roost a little bit. He kind of gives his command. Now he is a little weak. He is a bit of a follow orders type, but I'm in charge at the end of the day, so he'll be following my orders. Science advisor. Listen, there's only one scientist, actual real scientist in this entire sort of list of characters that we have, and of course, that is, if I can bloody find him, Edwin Jenner. Edwin Jenner, can you please step forward? Where are you? There you are, Edwin. Yeah, you're gonna go there. And then finally, oh no, this isn't part of the actual cabinet position itself. I added this on the end just because I thought it was It's pretty cool, and that's press secretary, who of course is going to go to Connie because she's actually a journalist. I think she's a very good journalist as well. She clearly is able to pull her punches. So yeah, I think Connie will be my press secretary. So that is all these people. They don't get a job. They applied. They were rejected. I think this is a pretty good choice, right? For the most part, I've kind of picked like older, wiser people anyway. And I mean, come on, director of the CIA. He looks the part of director of the CIA. Yeah, yeah. Some people might disagree with some of my picks, and that's fair. Let me know which ones you would switch out. Unfortunately, I didn't give a job to Abraham, and I feel really bad because I wanted to give something to Abraham, but there just wasn't one for it. Anyway, so I'll just give you one last look of what it is. I still don't know if this is the right decision. Yeah, we could do like who would be like the vice secretary of state. I know that's not really a thing, but I don't know. Nah, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. So let me know. What do you think about this? Do you think I've got a good cabinet or not? Thanks for watching. Goodbye.